You mentioned civic education as a form of getting young people back on track on democracy. So what are the ways you see that young people can regain, that democracy can regain credibility with young people?
Well, the most important way, and I would say it is an indispensable way, is to show, number one, that democracy can be, as it has been in the past, over the long run, responsive to the concerns and fears and anxieties of people, in this case about globalization, about declining economic growth, about social justice, about distribution of incomes, that social policy outcomes over time can be fiscally sustainable, socially fair and inclusive, and that they can recreate a decent and dynamic economy and society. That, in the long run, is indispensable. Democracy must also show that it can work in the short run to produce some kinds of policies, that the politicians, the Congress, are capable of coming to some agreement on policy responses and putting aside the intense partisanship that often blocks any kind of legislative agreement at all. Politicians must show a certain degree of civility toward one another and respect for the democratic rules of the game. And people must come to see that politics is not drenched in corruption and self-interest, that not all politicians are corrupt, and that the legal and judicial system, combined with the civil society and the mass media, are capable of working to contain corruption, to punish the corrupt, and to create a cleaner and more transparent pattern of politics and governance.
That's great. And since you mentioned this, a bit about political parties, that's one of the most frequent targets of frustration for people around the world. How do you see the future of political parties in light of recent events, and how can they adapt to this growing demand of better representativeness, better politics?
Well, we live in an era of profound democratic contradictions. None is more palpable than the contradiction regarding political parties. There really is no way to structure a decently functioning large-scale democracy without political parties. Parties structure competition, they recruit candidates, they formulate programs, they simplify the formidable challenge for voters of electoral choice, of choosing between candidates. They facilitate the mobilization of support in the legislature as well as in society. Parties perform a number of functions for democracy that remain quite necessary. At the same time, parties, like all institutions, organizations, can become self-interested, stale, corrupt, self-interested, and they need to be subject to competition, to new entrants into the market with more innovative ideas and proposals, and to a general openness and accountability in the political marketplace. Just think of what the automobile industry would be like, or the information industry would be like, if 30 years ago we'd said, that's it, we have all the companies we're going to have, no more can enter the marketplace. We would have stifled innovation. So I think it's important that if you don't want to see complete and total cynicism about parties, that the political marketplace allow for the entry of new political parties and more fluid and dynamic political formations. I also think that we need to structure or allow means for political parties to renew themselves and renew their political leaderships so that they can be appealing to the voters with fresh faces, new ideas, and an opportunity for circulation of elites and renovation over time. I'm not sure it's a good idea for a democracy to allow a president to come back once he or she has served particularly 2 terms. We have a limit in the United States now. It's not only 2 consecutive terms, it's 2 terms for life. And I think that's healthy over time in promoting renovation and circulation of elites and rejuvenation of the party system. I think a party system in a democracy may be healthier when it encourages the cultivation and promotion of new leaders and fresh ideas.